What a big home run that was last night for Xander Bogaerts as the Padres took down the San Francisco Giants 7-4. I'm Braden Surprenant, the Braden Surprenant Show, live from the Loft at the top of the Western Metal Supply Company building at Petco Park. Should be a good day of baseball today. It's the first time I get to be up here at the Loft after they remodeled it. It looks great. It's a great place to hang out before the game. The bartender's getting ready up here. A lot of people getting the ballpark ready to go for Game 2 of the two-game series between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Padres trying to take the first two games of what I would consider a different round robin than the rest of the division. I mean, at this point, like, you got to beat the Rockies, but you look at the division, it's like the National League West is the division within the division. And the Rockies lost again last night. They're terrible. They might be one of the worst baseball teams ever this season. And they're on pace to be one of the worst baseball teams ever. So you look at the rest of the division, and that was the first time that any of the top four in the NL West went against each other last night. And I thought it was a pretty good game between the Padres and the Giants. You have two of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball going after it yesterday. Starting pitching was good out of Nick Pivetta. We were able to knock around Webb a little bit, which was great. Webb's had a lot of success against the Padres in the past. So you talk about the San Diego Padres and getting a win yesterday. That was a great win for the Padres. Even better that Xander Bogaerts finally got the monkey off his back and was able to drive in some runs. Finally able to drive in some runs. You could see it on his home run trot, the smile on his face, and the kind of sigh of relief of, I finally got the first one out of the way. It's good to see for a guy like Xander Bogaerts. A lot of people in the chat, I called the bogey shot. Yeah, well, I mean, it was due. It was a matter of time. And I said it before, I'll continue to say it. Again, if his bat speed was slow, if his exit velo was slow, if he had the metrics behind the scenes not going in his favor, I think you would have some serious reason to be concerned about somebody you're paying $280 million to over a course of 11 years. But that's not the case. You know, his exit velo is still strong. He's hitting the ball really well. I mean, I watched him in batting practice yesterday. Now, batting practice and kickers making field goals pregame are eyewash to me. But just to look again at his power, I mean, the guy was putting in the second deck in left field during batting practice yesterday. It's not like he doesn't have power. He's a line drive hitter, came off to a little bit of a slow start to the season, but he put together a good game yesterday, a game that the Padres needed. Was Xander Bogaerts hitting the home run late in the game? I mean, they needed those insurance runs. Giants were able to get 3 against Pivetta / the bullpen in the 6th inning, which, by the way, I didn't even know this was – I forgot to mention this on the show yesterday when I was watching the Giants-Rangers game over the weekend. They mentioned that the 6th inning is the best inning for the San Francisco Giants this year. They're the best team in Major League Baseball in the 6th inning. And you know what? They did it again last night with 3 runs in the 6th inning. But you look at a guy like Xander Bogaerts and everything that he has, gone through so far early in this season. It's great that he went out there and had a good performance. And here's the deal. And we'll talk a lot about Xander Bogaerts today. He's going to be a reason that you have success. And again, he's not going anywhere. And you better hope that he plays really well. But at the same time, as much as it's fun to sit here and get super excited about Xander Bogaerts' one game where he drove in runs, he's got to be able to do that more. He can't just do it one time, right? You're excited that he did it, and hopefully this leads him into having a longer stretch of driving in runs. But again, it's just one game. I mean, you can't. We're not going to run around the field with the banner and get all excited here on the Braden Surprenant Show. It was just one game, but it was a game they needed. Offense needed that big time. But not only did Xander Bogaerts have a good day, it goes back to what I was saying the last couple of games. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's freaking out about the Padres. 4 games in a row. Had a tough stretch on the road against the American League teams. Everybody like sky is falling. Guys, it's April 30th. It's April 30th. And not only is it just April 30th, and by the way, Major League Baseball likes to put this out. I should send it to Jesse Agler because I know how much he hates talking about it. But if the season ended today, what would the playoff matchups be? You're looking at it right now with Padres and Giants. But again, look how much of a difference it is when you just add 2 of the players back. It just lengthens the lineup. It makes everything a little bit better. And Tatis didn't even play that great of a game. Tatis looked out of it yesterday. He didn't look like it was himself. And there's going to be games like that for a lot of Major League Baseball players. You got to play 162. Just wasn't his night last night. But I tell you what, their at-bats were a lot better just by adding Arise and Hayward. You get that trust level. You get that kind of relaxation a little bit, knowing that the guy behind you is going to be able to get the job done. And not to say that they didn't believe in their other teammates that had to fill in. It's just a little bit different. You got a veteran presence in Jason Hayward down in the bottom part of the order. You got guys like Luis Arise, back in the top of the order that moves everybody else down again. Moves him to the number 5 spot in the order. I bet you when they add Jackson Merrill and even Jake Cronenworth back, you could probably move Bogaerts down to 6th. Xander Bogaerts a cleanup hitter. Not necessarily signing up for that for a playoff team. Xander Bogaerts a 6th hitter, 7th hitter. Yeah, we could do that. That plays. So hopefully the Padres can really use yesterday's win and get on a little bit of a run here, especially against the Giants. They got the 3-game series against Pittsburgh starting on Friday. Don't have to face Skeens. Get to play the Pirates again. Don't have to face Ball Skeens, which is great. Now, you're probably not going to have Jackson Merrill, but we did get the update today from Kevin Acee. Don't be surprised if Jackson Merrill is out there on Monday against the New York Yankees. He's been right now at extended spring training. There's been a couple of videos out of him taking at-bats, taking taking live game at-bats. 2 days ago when he was taking the at-bats, he was not allowed to run to first base. He got a single and then walk back to the dugout. Ended up striking out, and I think in another at-bat a couple of days ago. Brandon Lockridge stole a base in that particular game a couple of days ago, so obviously he's trending in the right direction. But yesterday in Arizona, when you're talking about the Padres, or we're talking about Jackson Merrill, we got another hit yesterday. He played in the outfield a little bit, played some center field, was able to run the bases. So that's all good news and all things pointing in the right direction for Jackson Merrill. Again, it would not be surprised if, and I said earlier last week or this week that I wouldn't have been surprised if Jackson Merrill's first game was against the Yankees in New York. The way things were trending. I thought, maybe it would have been pushing it for the homestand. And then even on the homestand, like when Mike Schultz said that he wasn't going to be part of this homestand, then immediately thought maybe Pittsburgh is kind of early because, again, he hadn't been running too much in Arizona. But after watching him play on some of the highlights yesterday in extended spring training, where he's playing against the Rangers, extended spring training candidates or whatever like that, and he's running around. I mean, that's the good test. I mean, there's not going to be a rehab assignment because he's doing it right now. What's the point in sending him to Fort Wayne, Indiana, or sending him to El Paso, or even, San Antonio for like a game when he's already playing in extended spring training games right now for the Padres? So that's good news on the horizon. That's only going to make this lineup better. Look, you know what? You're almost out of the storm. You've already passed the eye of the storm. You're almost out of the storm. And you can get back to playing the level of baseball that you were playing before you went on a little bit of a cold stretch. And even during the cold stretch, I mean, with the Padres pitching staff, it's not like they were getting their ass handed to them. I mean, most of the games were within a couple of runs, if not one run, because of how great the bullpen has been for the San Diego Padres and how good the starting pitching's been. I mean, Nick Pivetta last night was great. I love watching Nick Pivetta pitch. Nick Pivetta brings that edge, man. He brings that energy. See him chirping at second base to Bailey. And we'll get into that and whether or not he was tipping pitches or what have you. But Nick Pivetta was just fired. He punches the guy at the plate and then looks and just starts talking smack to Bailey at second base. I love that energy. He mentions Pivetta does in his postgame a little bit about, it's like, it's a division game. I mean, he's riled up for it. I love that. I can't wait to see that against, Los Angeles Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and maybe the Giants again. But overall, good performance out of the Padres last night. Nick Pivetta got the win, now 5-1 on the year. He's got a 1.78 ERA. They were breaking down his pitches today on MLB Network. Mark DeRosa was breaking it down. And he's got a big, and I've been trying to, you're trying to learn a little bit more about the game when you get advanced analytics all the time, your horizontal break, your induced vertical break. I've been trying to apply that a little bit because I get TrackMan numbers from USD when they're playing their games, when I'm calling their ball games, and see how some of these guys get that induced vertical break. For anybody that doesn't know, and there might be a lot of you out there, there might be a lot of you that know this already, but when you see the induced vertical break on a pitch, what it's telling you is it gives the perception of the ball rising to the batter. So when he's trying to be on the same plane as the ball coming in to square up a fastball, his brain is tricking him into thinking that the ball is rising a little bit, and all of a sudden the level of plane on the swing changes. That makes that fastball even more nasty. You get that anytime you're over about 17 inches to 18 inches, you're going to get some serious induced vertical break. For Nick Pivetta, he's leading Major League Baseball right now with a 20-inch induced vertical break. That's some nasty S coming from the mound on his fastball. And his curveball, he drops in there. I mean, that thing drops. His vertical break on the curveball is one of the best in the league, too. It drops 17 inches. And so you go fastball at the eyes that might be going high, and then you go with the curveball drop down low. I mean, that is some nasty stuff that you got to deal with as a batter. And that stuff plays. I love watching Nick Pivetta pitch. I mean, the guy's disgusting. There's a couple pitches out there, and I was watching the game yesterday at the ballpark. I was at the game with some of my friends, and there's a couple pitches where I was like, it ended up being a ball, but I was like, that is gross. That is gross. We'll talk more about Nick Pivetta in just a little bit. We're going to break down some more Xander Bogaerts. He talked with Sam Levitt yesterday after the game, and Mike Schilt, before the game, a ton of confidence in Xander Bogaerts, and he goes out and has a great performance last night. We'll talk more about that. We are live at the Loft. If you get here early, again, gates open 90 minutes prior to first pitch. Come up, have a drink, hang out with me until Sam Levitt takes over at 12:10 for first pitch coming up at 1:10. Braden Surprenant Show continues on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I'm Michael Jenkins here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. Following 18 total runs scored on Tuesday, we're going back to the well and taking the over in the Yankees-Orioles matchup in Baltimore. The O's are the best over team at home in Major League Baseball. You'll see Carlos Carrasco take on Cade Povich on the mound. Both pitchers have an ERA over 5, so we expect a ton of offense today. Over 9 or 9.5 in the Yankees-Orioles. I'm Michael Jenkins from the BetMGM Network. Bet smarter and beat the books, and download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Need inspiration? Shop Ralph's. For mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients, our low prices add up to big savings. Plus, over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Ralph's, you always get big flavors and big savings. Ralph's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, you can save on delicious jumbo avocados. They're just $2.49 each with your digital coupon. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
Almost every week, kidney specialists at Sharp Healthcare perform a transplant from a living donor, like Caleb from North Park, who gave a kidney to a high school friend on dialysis. Sandra donated to a woman she met on TikTok. Terry, a father from Rancho Peñasquitos, gave a kidney to his adult son. But still, there's a list of 615 Sharp patients awaiting a kidney, surviving day by day, hoping for the life-changing call. But donating is easier than you may think. Kidneys come from friends, family, co-workers, and even from a complete stranger, like you. Adults can donate at any age, and you'll live normally, except for the privilege of forever knowing you saved a life. Learn how at sharp.com/givelife. 615 San Diegans are hoping you will.
Hey, Tony Gwynn Jr. here. San Diego County Credit Union is honoring local teachers in San Diego County through SDCCU Classroom Heroes. Nominate an outstanding teacher that has positively impacted student lives, and they could win a $500 Visa gift card and be featured on CBS 8. One lucky winner will receive a 5-day staycation at Kona Kai Resort. SDCCU. It's not big bank banking, it's better. Federally insured by the NCUA. Nominate online at sdccu.com/classroomheroes.
iAccidentLawyer.com is the way to go. Call 800-920-0810. iAccidentLawyer.com.
I'm Jenna Fisher. And I'm Angela Kinsey. And together we have the podcast Office Ladies. Just because we finished rewatching The Office does not mean we're going anywhere. Every Wednesday, we'll be sharing even more exclusive stories from The Office and our friendship with brand new guests. Plus, you can revisit all the Office Ladies rewatch episodes every Monday with new bonus tidbits before every episode. So follow and listen to Office Ladies on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. Two of the best in baseball will face off this weekend in a 3-game series. Los Angeles will head to the East Coast to play a resurgent Atlanta team who started off the season sluggish. Some of the brightest stars and biggest names in baseball will be front and center as two of the titans of baseball clash in another early season test. Who will come away with a win this time? Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from that truck drifting toward your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you, and Hyundai has over 130 IIHS top safety awards since 2006. Because Hyundai is always working to ensure the road doesn't get you, IIHS top safety awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
Mostly sunny and breezy, mid-60s to low 70s.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will...
Live from the Loft in the Western Metal Supply Company building, 3rd floor at Petco Park. Braden Surprenant show leading up to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. That will start at about 12:10. And then Padres baseball coming up at 1:10 as the Padres try to sweep the Giants in a 2-game set here in San Diego. Again, not a lot of games so far this year against the 3 other members of the division that you're competing for a division title with, and you're competing for wild card spots with. If the season ended today, MLB Network had their, or MLB.com had their, what the matchups would be, because it matters on April 30th. Didn't even make it to the April 30th games yet. We already have if the season ended today, this is what the playoff matchups would be. The Padres would be playing the Giants right now. I mean, most of the Padres and most of the matchups that the Padres would probably have to have, or most of the, should I say, teams that they have to go through are going to be teams that are in the division. It is so awesome that the Padres are done playing the Chicago Cubs. It's awesome they're done playing the Cubs. They split with the Cubs, and you don't have to worry about them anymore. The Cubs might be one of the best teams. They are one of the best teams in baseball. I mean, they bludgeon people to death with their high-powered offense. Now, their bullpen's not very good, but now you can vote. Now you can root for the Cubs to go out there and wreak some havoc on the rest of the National League. Padres have done really well against the NL. Got to be able to do that again today against the San Francisco Giants. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you want to join the show today, let me know what you think about Xander Bogaerts yesterday, about the Padres flipping the switch. Get a couple guys back. Look at what it does to the lineup. The mental side of sports. Feeling more confident at the plate, knowing that you don't have to go out there and be the guy. There's people still upset in the chat about Xander hitting a home run. They're actually sick to their stomach that Xander Bogaerts had a good night. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Who cares? You might as well root for the guy. I mean, it's insane. It's proving my point, and the whole reason why I started defending him in the first place. It's like you're rooting against one of the guys in your team just to show that you're right. And it's like, all right, dude, sick. Yeah, we got it. You're sick, dude. It's just like, why be upset about it? If you have come to a point as a fan where you root for your team, but there's players on your team that you're not happy when they do well, I don't even know why you watch. I mean, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. So I find it funny. Again, he needs to do that on a more consistent basis. And it'd be great for the Padres if he did. But you got to like a little bit of of a turn in the right direction. Turn in the right direction. Otherwise, you're just going to be miserable. Hey, you know what? Misery loves company. So the people in the chat that are like upset that Xander Bogaerts hit a home run yesterday, it's like, hey, man, guy just loves being miserable. Enjoy being miserable. We're going to have a good time here. But I hope he continues to have a good success. You know, I didn't think Yuli Gurriel deserved to be on the team out of the gate, but that didn't mean I was like hoping that he would get, strike out every time to prove that he wasn't worth being on the team. Look how smart I am. Who cares? Who cares? Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the game. Enjoy Padres baseball. Enjoy your chicken basket. Go enjoy your chicken basket. Oh, we got the lineup out. Yeah, how about this? People are going to freak out when Xander Bogaerts is in the lineup. Let's see what we got today. Tatis, Arise, Machado, Sheets, Bogaerts batting fifth, Iglesias, Wade, Hayward, Diaz, and Michael King. That's today's lineup. We'll go into more detail about that in just a little bit. But again, the guys on the team, you're hoping for the best for all the players that are on your team because that's the team you root for. You can complain about his contract all you want. If you want to be upset about it, go take it up with A.J. Preller in the front office for giving him $25 million a year. Guy's got to do his best. But if you continue to root against one of the players on your team and they do well, hey, it's going to be a rough season for you. It's going to be a rough season for you. Let's talk more about Xander Bogaerts. You could tell, like, on his home run, and again, this game does not say he's like, oh, he's back. It's one game. He's got to be able to put this together on a more consistent basis. I mean, he could go 0-for-4 today. Go back to what he was doing before. But Sam Levitt was able to catch up with Xander Bogaerts yesterday after the game. You know, you could tell on his home run that it seemed like a sigh of relief. And Xander had something to say in here in which that, and I hope you pay attention to it, but just shows how much of a pro he is. Here's Sam.
Xander, let's start with the home run. How would you describe the way that one felt?
Man, good, to be honest. Felt good. I mean, the way the game was going through, these guys were they were battling back. The game got tight. It became a good game towards the end. And, I mean, making it a wider gap right there, I think that was huge for us.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for the team offensively. But here tonight, you guys look like the team from the first 2-3 weeks, stringing hits together, moving the line. What stood out to you about what this lineup did top to bottom tonight?
I mean, we got two of our starters back pretty much. We got Louis back and we got J-Hay back. So, I mean, that definitely helps. Seeing two of those guys that have had successful careers in a lineup. I mean, we know they were hurt and now they're back. So that definitely helps, we know how the offense was doing these last couple of days. So it was nice to get a boost from those guys.
You guys were on Logan Webb early. That's a really good starting pitcher. What was the key to getting to Webb as early as you did tonight?
Man, he's tough, man. He is. He is tough. I think maybe he left a couple pitches over the plate. I think we were ready for him. I feel like if you let him get into a groove, I mean, he's really good. I mean, he's one of the best players in the game for a reason. And as I say, I feel like he left some pitches and the guys did some damage on him.
Xander, congratulations on it.
Sam Levitt with Xander Bogaerts after the game. Big game for Xander. It was good to see. And you're going to need some more contributions like that throughout the entire year. Again, you paid what you paid for all these players. That is what your payroll is. And these guys are on your team. And this is the team that you have. This is the team that they invested in, and they ain't making any changes. So if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. I find it interesting, and it's like people in the YouTube chat. I mean, what excites you about Padres baseball? Like, what makes you happy? Because a lot of you, like, all the time are just always sad about Padres baseball, and it's just like we have such best times like right now. Like, I grew up in this town, born and raised in San Diego since 1995. This is like the best that the Padres have been in my lifetime. I mean, and it's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, sure, you could say 98. I was 3 years old in 1998. I was 3 years old. And I go through like the teams that the Padres have had. I mean, think about this for a perspective on just what the Padres have been in really their entire history. They've had like 2 jolts, and that's been about it. And aside from that, and it's just been like lousy baseball. And this ownership takes over, and they invest in the team and they spend money and they get stars on the team. We had 47,000 people here last night on a Tuesday night. I get it was a bobblehead night. It's the second highest attended game in Petco Park history, a Tuesday night against the Giants. I mean, like that is unheard of. When I was growing up in San Diego, you would go to a Tuesday night game, there'd be like 25 people in the stands when they're playing like the Giants or the Rockies. And most of the time, it was mostly the other fans. It was the other fans. Alec Pavlovic of who covers the Giants up in the Bay Area, he's at the game. He's covering the team. He tweets out, like, what a great atmosphere it is. Oh, the Giants fans are all upset. Well, that's because the Giants are in town. I'll tell you what, there was a decent amount of Giants fans, but it wasn't like it was that noticeable. The only thing that was noticeable about it is when other teams roll into town, now you don't see any of their fans. And you actually saw a couple of Giants fans because there's a handful of transplants down here in San Diego. But again, I look at it, I mean, you got to have the perspective of just like what we have right now. I mean, enjoy it. Enjoy it. I mean, I just feel like we were so trained on being miserable that we have to be miserable. Enjoy it. Who cares how much the guy's making? As long as the team is winning, who cares? Enjoy the ride. It's fun to come down to Petco Park. It's fun to be at Padre games. It's fun watching these guys go out there and play. They're in the thick of things right now in the division, even though it's just April. They're one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I mean, like, why are you upset? Like, what makes you happy about Padres baseball? I mean, because, again, it's not just one thing. It's just constant negativity all the time. I just want to know, like, who hurt you guys? Got to be able to let's be excited about Padres baseball here. Sushi Sam said, go watch Banana Ball. Go enjoy your chicken basket. I mean, I don't know what you can complain about. Things are good. If things were bad, I'd tell you they were bad. You got one of the best players in the world playing on your team in Fernando Tatis Jr. You got a guy, Manny Machado, that signed a big deal and has invested in the community and has been, part of this. He's ingrained himself in San Diego, which fans all the time complain that not a lot of their players did. I mean, he's doing it. You got a local kid in Joe Musgrove that threw the first no-hitter in the team. I know he's hurt right now, but he's up leading that charge. It matters to him, this organization. And you got like Xander Bogaerts, who he takes responsibility and he's a pro and he works his ass off. I mean, I don't know how much more you want. And at the end of the day, as long as the record, you can evaluate this team at the end of the year. And at the end of the year, if it didn't work out, you can go back and be like, okay, this is where things went wrong. But you got to let the year play out. Got to let it play out. It's April 30th. It could be April. You could be the Braves right now and be a game under 500, but they're starting to play a lot better. I mean, there's so many other teams that are struggling right now early in the season. Padres have one of the best records, and it's just like, cut this guy's thing. It's just relax. We get to July, and the guy's hitting under 200. All right. Might have to find some solutions to the problem. But until then, let's enjoy the ride. Because, again, it could be a lot worse. I mean, when I was going to games in high school, I was telling one of the stories, actually, and that was one of their better years. One of their better years was 2010. I remember I was telling the story last night to one of my friends about watching Bradledge balk in 2010 in the first game of the series against the Phillies, in which it started a 10-game losing streak for the Padres. Bradledge balked in the tying run before it went to extra innings. Padres ended up losing in that game and then lost 10 straight and didn't make the playoffs because Matt Latos couldn't get the job done on the final day in San Francisco. And then the Giants ended up winning 3 World Series in 6 years. But aside from that year in 2010, that was basically the height of Padres baseball from 2007 to about 2019. I mean, I was mentioning this yesterday. It's like, because we had the draft show, and if the Chargers were still in town, I mean, I'm kind of curious how that would play out right now with the Chargers and the Padres. Padres have really taken over this entire deal. But if you had the stretch that the Padres had over the weekend and last week and the last week and a half, we wouldn't even be talking about the Padres. We'd be talking about the Chargers draft. So I don't want to go to my little soapbox or whatever like that, but it's not the end of the world that Xander Bogaerts hit a home run. It's just like, hey, it's okay. He played well. Time to move on to the next game. Again, it's not like his coming out party. Again, he can go 0 for 4. He can go 0 for 4 today. But the more that these guys can play well together, the better it's going to be. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I know we got a couple of guys waiting on hold. Ryan in Escondido, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Ryan? Ryan, are you there? No, not have Ryan. Ryan is not there. All right, we'll get back to your phone calls when we come back in just a little bit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Yeah, I mean, a lot of – oh, here we go. Let's go back to Ryan. Ryan in Escondido. What's going on, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
I got you this time. What's up, dude?
All right, man. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, and then I'm going to hang up and let you do your thing. So all these dudes, these quote-unquote fans, trying to run Bogaerts out of town and pissing and moaning about the way the team's playing, just shut up. You're not GMs. You're not scouts. The team motto is literally keep the faith. So keep the faith, enjoy the Padres baseball, and shut the hell up. Go Padres. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, dude. Again, I mean, if you think like him playing poorly is going to get him off the team and it's going to be beneficial to you in the long run, I got news for you. It ain't gonna work out like that. Ain't gonna work out like that. But again, if you hate it so much, I don't know why you're participating. And I'm not saying the guy's an MVP. I'm not saying he's an all-star. I'm not saying he needs to be, moved up in the order. I don't need to. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, let the guy go out there and play. Just let him play. Let all these guys play. If they're not giving good effort and they look like they're checked out, yeah, get on their ass. But, I mean, if they're playing, and you got to give them some time. It's April 30th. We'll get back to your phone calls when we come back in just a little bit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll dive into a little bit of Nick Pivetta, might be tipping some pitches, what they're going to do with the catching situation, and we'll get more of your phone calls on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Braden Surprenant Show live and local each and every day from 10 to 2. Today we're going up to 12:05, getting you ready for Padres baseball. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 12:10. Padres baseball at 1:10 as your San Diego Padres will try to take down the San Francisco Giants for a second consecutive day and put themselves tied for, actually, would pass the Giants, be in second place. Hopefully the Marlins can help out, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I mean, Sandy got rocked last night by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Didn't get a lot of help defensively either. But anyway, talking Padres baseball here on a beautiful Wednesday morning in America's finest city. Again, taking you up to about 12:10. I want to take your phone calls today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. That was the last thing I'm going to say on the Xander Bogaerts thing, because people just want to love to hate him. Let's just talk about his numbers at the end of the year. We'll see what he's got. I mean, if it's close to what his averages are in Boston, you got what you paid for. If not, all right. Find a way to get rid of his $25 million. We'll put you on speed dial to AJ Preller. Maybe you can help him out a little bit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I do want to play this. You know, Mike Shildt defends his guys to like a whole different level. And you know, I mean, he does a really good job of defending his guys, and he'll defend them all the time. But that's his job. But just to say, like, again, you know, if you think this guy's leaving the team, or you think that the Padres view him anything different than what he is, Mike Shildt was asked about Xander Bogaerts and his struggles so far this year before last night's game, where he ended up having a pretty good game for the San Diego Padres. And here is what Mike Shildt had to say about Xander Bogaerts' slow start to the 2025 season.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's unfair to point a finger at anybody. And clearly, especially him, he's on probably a pace for 40-something doubles. I think if you looked up and you took 40-something doubles out of any of our players, including Buggy, you'd probably feel pretty good about it. He's a guy that's helped us win games, and you have a stretch of 3 or 4 games that, you hit the ball right back at the pitcher, hit off his glove and right to a guy. Could have been a game time RBI. Had a big, ball down the line the other day. I'm really unsure to answer the question, because I don't really look at Bogey as anything but a benefit to the club. And sometimes the game is hard for a couple games. So I don't really know what to say beyond that.
It's not really more you can say. It's been a month. It's a lot of players right now in baseball that are struggling at about a month's time. Again, most people that I've talked to in baseball, they look at, and this is what the Padres did, his exit velo is high for his age. His swing speed is high for his age. We're okay. It's going to figure it out. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Get back out to the phones. Got a couple of Brandons. We're going to go to the one in La Mesa. Brandon La Mesa, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Braden, hello, sir. Glad I get a chance to listen to you. I'm typically at work right now, but luckily I'm driving, so I can listen in.
Well, I appreciate it, dude. What do you got for me today?
Yeah, man. Yesterday was the first day I got to go to since opening day. Oddly enough, both 7-4 finals with some late 7th inning heroics. So 2-0 for me. Lucky me. I always tend to go with a buddy of mine who's a big Giants fan, and so this is like the 22nd year that we've gone to a Padres Giants game. He hasn't caught on though that we win about 70% of the games that we go to. So, but I wanted to bring up, last night the vibes were good. We got in a little early, and definitely you can feel the crowd. But similar to opening day, it was kind of weird because they said 47,000 some odd people, second highest. Like, it felt busy, but there was definitely empty seats, like in pockets all around. So I think that's more so about ticket sales versus people that actually go through the turnstiles. Because the same thing with opening day, there's a decent amount of empty seats that I could notice throughout the game, and there's no knocking them. It was still 98% capacity, so it's fantastic. But just curious on how they get those numbers. And just about Bogey too, man. Like, I think the main thing is just this past week, when you're losing, you have something to look for. And he was just kind of like the sore thumb out of the mix, just because he had a lot of at-bats in late inning games with the tying run potentially, you know, like at second or first base, and was struggling to get a hit. So it was really cool. I'll get off just a second, but I wanted to mention I was sitting right in front of a couple other Giants fans last night, and when he was up in the seventh, and I'm, you know, hooting and hollering, I'm still a little hoarse from last night. He said he's never going to earn that contract, and I was like, "That's all right, one at bat at a time." And as soon as he said that, he cranked it out, and I was like, "Did you want to take that statement back?" It was a comedy. So anyway, go Padres.
That's awesome. I love it. Appreciate the phone call, Brandon. I'm glad you had a good time at the game. Yeah, walking around yesterday, I mean, there was a couple of areas where it was like wedged with people. You couldn't even get by. There were so many Padres fans last night at Tony Gwynn bobblehead night, which is super cool. I loved all the tributes that they did to Tony, for Tony last night. His grandkids got to throw out the first pitch last night, Tony Jr.'s kids, which was super cool. So a nice gesture by the San Diego Padres on all of that. Yesterday. And again, you know what? And one at bat at a time for Xander. Did a pretty good job yesterday. Hopefully he can build off of it today, because the Padres are going to need him to perform and play to the level or close to the level of the money that they gave him. That's why he's on the team. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Thomas in San Diego. Thomas, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
What's going on, Braden? Happy to be here. You know, I called last week when we were talking about Xander and his slump, and you were saying, you know, be patient, wait for end-of-year stats, and I agreed. And, you know, a lot of Padres fans, I think, are jaded from years past of, you know, almost like the same way the Chargers fans were jaded, where, you know, they got the fourth quarter curse, you know. They're going to blow it in the end. But this team is different, and especially after we DFA'd Gurriel and Arias and Hayward came back, I think the vibes alone, you know, shout out DSG on Twitter, because VAR is so real and it's so up from last night. So I think, you know, baseball is such a unique sport because it has those ups and downs. 162 games. No other sport has that kind of up and down. So, you know, just got to hang tight, sit tight, and trust your boys. And, you know, if Bogey wasn't making as much as he was, we wouldn't have been talking about him. All these people pocket watching. So, you know, just got to let him do his thing and, trust that he'll be an asset to this team.
Thomas, appreciate the phone call, man. Yeah. The thing is, it's I mean, he's not out of the woods yet. I mean, he had a good night. It's not like he's on a hitting streak now for the, I mean, I guess 2 games if you want to mention that, but he's still got to go out there and continue to perform. I mean, a lot of his numbers on the season are still not very good just because he hit a home run and drove in a couple of runs. I mean, he still needs to have more production. Most of his analytic numbers are not good either. But the thing that you have to look for an aging player, especially when everybody likes to and wants to mention aging players are cooked. Everybody always wants to say that, almost like they're rooting for it. Exit velo's high, swing speed's high. You know, they'll see what happens with Xander. But good night last night for him and the San Diego Padres. Thomas, appreciate the phone call. Let's get out to Brandon in Carlsbad. Brandon, what's going on, man?
Yeah, Braden, always great to talk with you, brother. And, you know, for me, it set the tone with Tony's night. It was Tony's night. He's done so much for the sport, for our community, especially those of us that are jaded, have that sour taste from losing the Clippers, losing the Chargers. The Padres is all we have left. And I know, yes, we've got the other teams and the Sockers. But Tony, man, he set the tone. And having those guys come back, like, I'm not going to let this be the Xander Bogaerts, you know, hate on hour, because it is, like you said the other day, Brandon, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But I'll tell you what, the swagger and the antics and the energy that Luis Arias brings, he's there, is second to none. He didn't have much production last night, but, you know, that was one for Tony. We needed it. You know, we got Murderers Row coming up in May and June especially. Hunker down, Pods fans, because the fight ain't over. It's just begun.
Absolutely, Brandon. Appreciate the phone call, man. He's right. I mean, June rolls around. There's 2 times during the season where the Padres are in basically playoff mode. One of them's coming up in June against the Giants and the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and the Royals, who are going to be a tough team to worry about. And the American League Central, they got a lot of great young players on that team. Month of June is tough, and then the month of August is tough. May is not. I mean, the Yankees are still playing really good ball. We got them next week Next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the Padres will be in the Bronx before they go on to take on Colorado. Long road trip for the Padres kind of early on in the season. 3 against Pittsburgh. Don't have to deal with Paul Skeens. Won't have Jackson Merrill. They are hoping that Jackson Merrill will be back for the Yankees series next Monday. So that's good news on the horizon. And what that does, moves the order around again. All of a sudden, you got guys in spots that should be hitting, in spots where they should be hitting. And then after that, when they play the Yankees, they will take on Colorado. And then again, the month of May is not that. That's a good get-right month for the San Diego Padres. Hopefully Jake Cronenworth comes back near the middle or end of May. And then we'll see what the updates are on Yu Darvish. He obviously has gotten a lot better. He'll be going to rehab assignments before he comes back. I know the projected timeline for that, even though the Padres don't announce timelines, but from what Kevin Acee has been reporting, is something along the lines of Memorial Day, after Memorial Day. If you can get Yu Darvish back in June with everybody else and you're at full strength for that group, you're going to be in a good spot for the San Diego Padres. Going to be in a good spot for the San Diego Padres. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's go on down to the South Bay. Vince is in Chula Vista, wants to join the show. Vince, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, always great speaking with you. Hope you're doing well. Just a couple things here. The chirping is always going to be there. It always will be there. If you look back at spring training, right? The chirping started when we were 7 and I don't give a crap because it doesn't matter, whatever the record was. And to a Padre fan, if you were sitting a game and a half behind the Dodgers after the first month of the season, you would take that every day. Twice on Sunday, you would take that. And when you add in the amount of injuries that this team has gone through, all you have to do is listen to the skipper with what he's saying and how this team is performing. And you were saying it right, with Merrill coming back, get Cronenworth back, get Darvish back, of course. I look at it as every month in the major leagues is a tough month. There's going to be months that are tougher than others. But every month is going to present its challenges. And April was a pretty darn good month for this team. Now, the game last night, was it a must-have? Maybe. I don't know if any game this early in the season is a must-have. But it was great to see them play the way they did. It was great to see with the Rise coming back, get more of a normalcy to the lineup, what that does. And, of course, Nick Pivetta is having an outstanding start to the year. We have Michael King going today. So, the trajectory is looking pretty good. But it's early. It's early. And with Bogaerts or any other player, every team's got its Bogart. Every team's got one. You got to let it play out. It's a grind. And, yeah, he hits a home run last night. It's a good omen. Always good getting a home run, see what that purports long term. But I like the way this team is sitting, man. I'm with you. I've seen the dark end of the Padres, and this is a pretty bright end for the Padres. Yeah. You mentioned it. You got Taddy, you got Machado, you've got a budding all-star, superstar in center field that decided to sign long-term here with the Padres because he wanted to be here. And then we have a couple coming up through the system, in shortstop and catcher in the future that they're not too far away. I love this team. And I, for one, can't wait for June when the Dodgers come in. Cannot wait for that series. So, Braden, always great talking with you. Thanks for giving me a minute or two. Really appreciate you. Absolutely,
Vince, I appreciate the phone call, man. At the beginning of the season, I wasn't really interested at all in the Padres-Dodgers series with the way the offseason went. But I tell you what, the way this team is playing, the way you got guys like Nick Pivetta on the mound, bulldog mentality, not taking anybody's crap yesterday. I mean, going after Bailey at second base, could have been some pitch tipping or whatever like that. But Ruben Abel went out there and talked to Nick Pivetta, and then Pivetta settled in, punched out the batter he was facing. Well, I forgot who it was at the time, and then immediately turns around and pops off to Bailey at second base. I love that energy. That's great energy for the Padres. They got that swag back a little bit with the rise back and Hayward, and kind of gets a little jolt. They don't even have Merrill back yet. I mean, I can't wait to watch the Padres in the Bronx with Jackson Merrill, hopefully being back on Monday. And that's going to be a whole different lineup again for the San Diego Padres against the New York Yankees next week. Got to take care of business again today. Got Michael King on the hill for the San Diego Padres. He is your number one as of right now. I mean, Nick Pivetta has been pitching like a number one. I mean, how about a great lineup for the Padres against the Giants? Games that they have to win against San Francisco, and you go 2 number ones. I don't think you could really disagree with that. I mean, you could make an argument maybe that Michael King's like a 2, but he's your actual 1, and Pivetta is pitching like a 1. And you get 2 1s against the Giants. Padres will try to complete the sweep of a 2-game series today, later on at 1:10. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 1:10. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Nick Pivetta on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Fan is brought to you by Frozen Ropes San Diego. Hey, parents, here's a message from Coach Kurt from Frozen Ropes. Is your child 6 to 12 years old? Our baseball summer league is the perfect fit for your player starting June 16th through August 17th. Summer league includes 8 practices, 8 games. Register by April 30th and save $50. Go to San Diego FrozenRopes.com. Later on this week, we will have our manager's report. Make sure to tune into our manager's report with Mike Schilt this Friday at 9 in the morning on Ben & Woods. Manager's report is refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Braden Surprenant Show. We're going to talk a little bit about Nick Pivetta here in the segment. He looked pretty good last night. Again, ended up giving up 3 runs. One of them was an inherited runner that Jeremiah Estrada allowed to score. And that was actually, and he ended up giving up a run after that. His first run allowed at Petco Park since August. But Pivetta's done a really good job so far this year. We'll talk about him in just a little bit. I do want to get back to some of your phone calls, though, to try to knock out some of these calls. Get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Yeah, forgive me for calling in another time this week, Braden, but I've got to take a shot at whoever's in the chat rooms expressing their ill will about Xander Bogaerts. You know, it's easy to sit behind a keyboard and say all sorts of crazy stuff, but I would challenge anyone that's in these chat rooms, which you know, I would urge you not to give a lot of oxygen to because they're not worthy. Get on the damn phone and make a cogent argument about your feelings. Now, Xander had a great night last night. And just from a human standpoint, that's a great thing to watch an athlete have a great night who's been pressing since he's been here. There's nothing wrong with Xander, the person. Nothing wrong with Xander, the athlete or the leader. I will take 10 Xanders on my team before I take one Juan Soto. And this is a guy who has pressed since he's been here. I didn't want him because we didn't need him. However, from a human standpoint, what he did last night, I was just so happy for him to see that sign of relief that he finally got one. And so let's be happy, as other callers have pointed out, for the man. And let's hope that for his sake and for all of our sakes, that this is the beginning of better days for him. And that's it. You know, just lighten up. If you got something to say, get on the damn phone to Braden and make a cogent argument about it. But don't sit behind a keyboard anonymously and make up a bunch of stuff. That's all I got.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Kevin, spot on. Chat's a little negative compared to the phone calls. Phone calls are usually very positive. We had some pretty good phone calls against Xander this week. I mean, come on, make an argument. Give me a call. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I want to get back to, I think we only have 2 left, if I'm mistaken, Adam. Kathy in L.A., you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kathy?
Hey, Braden. I didn't get a chance to really watch the game very much yesterday or listen to it because I had my hip surgery yesterday, so I was kind of in and out of it most of the day. And so if I get a little slurry today, as the nurse just gave me some Dilaudid, so I'm trying to be coherent here today. But I'm just glad that that Xander did get that home run yesterday because I've just been tired of. It's like the same thing we went through with Hosmer. I know a lot of people hate Hosmer, and you know why I'll never be upset with him. And that has all to do with the Royals. I mean, I know he had some issues here and stuff too, but this is your team. Support your players. Don't, get all, saying a bunch of stuff about the team. He's on the team. He's not going anywhere. And all these people that keep saying, they need to eat the salary and stuff. It's like, do you know how much salary they would have to eat? And then you're going to complain that, hey, we can't afford anybody because of the Xander contract. So he's here. Just deal with it.
Yeah,
And
Kathy, I appreciate the phone call. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery. Yeah, I mean, eating $25 million a year, or eating like 60% of that would just be catastrophically bad. And he's not that bad. I mean, if he was playing like Yuli Gurriel and he was collecting that kind of money, I mean, it would be a disaster for the Padres. The Padres finally DFA'd Yuli Gurriel yesterday. Thanks for the service. But, it just wasn't going to work out. I think I was 40 years old. So let's see what the Padres could do with some of their bench pieces. Again, they're going to get some players back. I think they're going to have some interesting conversations with some of the players that have stepped up. I mean, Tyler Wade wasn't on the Major League roster to start the season. Wasn't on the Major League roster to start the season. He's played really well. He's played really well in absence of some of these players. I mean, and they love him in the clubhouse, and they gave him money during the offseason. Got him through waivers, came back to the Padres. Obviously, interesting story with him getting his way back to the San Diego Padres in a Padres uniform. But despite all of that, I mean, he's been pretty good. I mean, you can't get rid of him right now. Oscar Gonzalez has filled in nicely. So when you get Merrill back and Lockridge comes back, I mean, there's going to be some interesting moves for the Padres coming up probably next week. And hopefully Yu Darvish can come back sometime during May. I think it's the latest report that we had is the Padres expect him to be back in this month of May coming up, which starts tomorrow. Today's the last day of April. So we'll see what happens with some of these roster moves. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I want to talk about Nick Pivetta. Let's talk about Nick Pivetta for a second. Nick Pivetta, and I mentioned what they were talking about on MLB Network this morning on MLB Network, where DeRosa was breaking down Pivetta's pitching. Again, that induced vertical break at 20 inches, the best in Major League Baseball. It gives the appeal that the ball is rising to a hitter. And then he caps that off with a 17-inch, a negative 17-inch vertical break on his curveball. I mean, that's some nasty pitching right there, and he's been great in a Padres uniform. Something a little bit about, tipping pitches last night came up, and he was still good last night. He just wasn't up to the level that he had been, and that just talks about how great he was in his first couple of starts at Petco Park. But here's Nick Pivetta after the game talking about whether or not he was tipping pitches, what Ruben said, and kind of takes us through that interesting conversation he had with Bailey to finish the fifth inning.
What were the Giants doing there in the fifth? When you were a little agitated, Ruben came out in the middle of a count.
Oh, you're talking? Yeah, I think I was probably tipping my pitches, so I had to probably switch that up. I don't know if I was or not, but that's part of the game, and I just was able to make my pitches.
I mean, he didn't really say too much about it, but that seemed to be the narrative that popped off a little bit last night. I mean, he was not really happy with Bailey standing on second base. And it didn't really look like he was paying attention to him all that much until Ruben Niebla went out there to talk with Nick Pivetta, made the adjustment, ends up getting a punch out to end the inning, and then immediately looks at Bailey at second base and starts talking as he comes off the mound. I looked at, and again, when I was watching the breakdown that DeRosa did on Nick Pivetta, I think a lot of the intangibles that he brings, aside from his good pitching, is just that energy and that passion on the mound. There's only a handful of players that we've seen in Padres uniforms be able to do that, and I think that brings a different level of edge to this Padres organization. Showing some highlights from him in Boston, especially in the playoff series that they had in 2021, where he comes off the mound, just running off the mound after a big punch out or a big finish to an inning, jolting that energy into the dugout, into the, lineup, into the offense as they are about to take back over. I mean, I think that was a big reason why the Padres had success last night too. I mean, just his energy that he has on the mound is phenomenal. And you love seeing that built-in edge to a pitcher that you signed to be your number 4. And he's playing like he's your number 1. I mean, what a great signing so far by A.J. Preller on the Nick Pivetta contract. His ERA at Petco Park, as noted by Kevin Acee in his Padres daily newsletter. His ERA was sub-1 at Petco, but it's ballooned to 1.42 after he was charged with 3 runs last night. He had allowed 1 run in 20 innings in his first 3 starts in his new home ballpark, one of just 6 Padres pitchers to ever allow that few runs over 3 starts at the ballpark while throwing at least 20 innings. He had allowed 4 runs all season, 3 of them in a game at Wrigley Field on April 5th. His 1.78 ERA still ranks 4th in the National League. His 169 opponent batting average against him is the lowest of any National League pitcher this season. His 5 wins are tied with the Yankees' Max Fried for most in Major League Baseball. And despite giving up a couple of runs last night, it was still impressive, as Pivetta was not as sharp as he had been in previous 4 wins. He was behind more than usual and had to make more pitches in tough counts, as laid out by Kevin Acee in his article. Goes to show that he had 22 batters that he faced last night against the Giants, 7 3-ball counts. He was only ahead 0-2 or 1-2 8 times last night. He was ahead 2-0 or 2-1 5 times last night, threw 16 first-pitch strikes and had only 2 3-pitch strikeouts. But still, that's still pretty good. You look at his other outings that he had, kind of matched some, but he wasn't ahead of counts as he was in previous starts. He had 11 at-bats, or 11 batters that he got ahead of in counts on April 22nd against Detroit, 11 against Chicago, 13 against Colorado, 10 against Atlanta, and the only other time that he had a bad outing was April 5th at the Cubs, in which he had only 2, and that was like his worst outing of the year. Of the season high, 7 batters that got to 3 balls against Pivetta, 1 walked and 1 got a hit. Quote from Pivetta, I think it's important to make pitches when you need to make pitches, get behind in the count, but then able to battle back, I think is really important. And I think that's important too. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the catching situation for the San Diego Padres. Luis Camposano continues to do really well offensively down in the PCL. Does it matter if it's in the Pacific Coast League? How do the Padres value the catching position? Mike Schultz answered that yesterday. We'll talk about it when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Braden Surprenant show live at the Loft, third deck of the Western Metal Supply Company building. Gates open 90 minutes prior, so when you come up to the top deck, or third level. Top deck is a different level, but the third deck of the Western Metal Supply Company building where the Loft is at. It's a nice little bar and lounge area. They put in a great new interior. It's a wonderful place to be. Sam Levitt will be broadcasting the Padres EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here coming up in just a little bit. Got pool tables, they got shuffleboard, they got Pop-A-Shot, they got foosball, they got a pinball machine. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff up here at the Loft. There you can hang out and get ready for the Padres baseball game as they will start at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time right here on 97.3 The Fan. Excuse me for that. I want to talk about the catching situation with the San Diego Padres, but I do want to get back to the phones. Have Angelo in San Diego wants to weigh in. Angelo, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, can you hear me?
I got you, dude.
Hey, Braden. So, hey, first of all, I just want to say I love where you're at on the radio show, man. I've been listening to your high school football coverage on late nights, and I love your progression in your career. Thank you for that. So I want to start off with two requests. First thing is I've been beginning to keep track of the score on my own MLB scorecard. I think it'd be really interesting if anybody in your staff or maybe Don and Mud can share those things so we can maybe just compare notes and kind of get deeper engagement in the game. Second thing is I've been looking for the Keep in the Faith full song from the 98 World Series team. I think it'd be really cool as a fan base if we can maybe talk to the Padres organization about maybe releasing the full track online so we can listen to it. I just want to move on now to weigh in on a little bit of the Xander Bogaerts situation. In my personal opinion, I believe that the Xander Bogaerts situation is the crescendo of a long-term dynamic that's been happening within the Padres organization. And it really goes back to what you were mentioning before in the beginning about that 2007 era of the Padres, with Matt Kemp being an excellent example. You know, Matt Kemp was a guy we got from the Dodgers. He talked about our fan base, how he had a terrible experience here in San Diego. And I think it really speaks to how players view our franchise. I think AJ Preller in some ways has turned the Padres organization into a little bit of a retirement home for players. And Padre fans are kind of tired of it, right? And for us, a lot of us online, we look at Xander Bogaerts, we call him Black Hosmer because he kind of got a similar contract. And it seems like they sandbag. They do really well in other teams. They come here and they start to tank. And that's not the only one. So we have Matt Kemp, Juan Soto, right? Nelson Cruz, Yuli Gurriel is the latest example. Matt Carpenter, right? We get these guys that we think are experienced and they're going to bring this stuff to the clubhouse, but they don't perform on the field. And us as a fan base, we're tired of it. And I understand a lot of the other callers, they want to make some really great arguments about, hey, be positive, but we can't have blind positivity, right? Because that causes us to overlook obvious issues. And yes, AJ Preller's decisions has caused us to be less competitive. We could have more money to go get other pitchers, all the other kind of stuff. And I want to quote Eric Grupner, right? Because we're putting pressure on Xander Bogaerts, Eric Grupner said it himself, president of the business operations. Pressure is a privilege. And Xander played in Boston, okay? We in San Diego, right? We expect more from these players. We want a championship. We're hungry for it. The players see that. Manny Machado has definitely said that. And it's not just, you mentioned the Chargers too, right? Eli Manning snubbed us, right? There is this impression out there that San Diego sports fans aren't to be taken seriously, or that our franchise is overlooked. And the Friar faithful are extremely tired of that. We need to be united. We show up every night. We sell out tickets, and we support this team, and we demand excellence. Now, I'm happy for Xander. I'm glad that he got a home run. I will say, to rain a little bit on that parade and be critical, it was toward the shorter side of the field. You know, if he hit a home run to deep center, then I feel like, okay, or the opposite way, then he's hitting as maybe where it's supposed to be. I hope that it's a turn in the right direction, but we can't be a Pollyanna about this.
Let me ask you, Angelo, what would you want him to, what do you want his final season numbers to be for you to be satisfied? Can we drop him? He's gone. I mean, I understand what you're saying to a certain extent. The problem with everything that you just said is all the players that you mentioned are all aging players when they were acquired by the Padres. And so naturally, their numbers are going to go down. Now, I don't think Matt Kemp is different than some of these players that you mentioned. Matt Kemp went out and admitted that he didn't really try his best here in San Diego. He didn't like being here in San Diego and all that other sort of stuff. Eric Hosmer, you watched him play, and then, it was the other things that he wasn't doing either. Like, he wasn't putting in the time or anything like that, where Xander definitely is. And I'm watching him do it. And again, it's like, you have to understand what you're signing. I mean, if you think that like all these guys are going to get better when they come to San Diego, I mean, that's just not even going to be the case. It's not even going to be close to the case. So, I mean, that entire phone call, and Angelo, you brought up some good points, but at the same time, it just felt like you were personally attacked by these athletes that come to San Diego. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We talked about this on the show earlier in the week. The best move that you could make is drafting and developing players and extending them when they're young and having them until they're 30 and letting them go. That's the best philosophy in Major League Baseball. That's worked out for a lot of teams. That's why the Atlanta Braves have been so successful in the last couple of years. But you know what the Atlanta Braves did? Is when those players turn 30, they let them walk. And when players have success here in San Diego, the one thing that fans never want to say and they never want to happen, they never want to let them go. I mean, so many people wanted Donovan Solano back. That's been terrible for Seattle. Thanks for the memories. Move on. Kyle Higashioka, he's been okay in Texas, but not worth what he's getting paid. Talk about some of these other players that you let go. I mean, sometimes they'll do well and sometimes they won't. I don't think players are coming here and intentionally trying to be poor. I mean, Greg Maddux was pretty good, but he was a Padre. Guy was like 38 years old. Mike Piazza was all right in a Padres uniform. Jim Edmonds was not very good in a Padres uniform. But when you talk about some of these players that are at the age 30 and everything like that, it's hard to just be like, well, you expect him to be the 2019 version of himself. It's not the case. You're never going to get that out of this contract. So I understand where you're coming from. I mean, it just sounded like you were personally attacked by these guys coming out here and not playing the best. I mean, some guys are going to have success in some cities and some guys aren't. If the effort's not there, then I'm on your side. But the effort's there, and I'm watching him participate, and it matters to him. It didn't matter to Matt Kemp, and it didn't really matter to Eric Hosmer. And there's a couple other players that have been in the Padres organization that you can tell it didn't matter to them. But it's different with Xander Bogaerts. And again, you got to wait for the end of the season. But I appreciate the phone call. The scoring thing is interesting, too. A lot of us score here at Petco Park during the games. And everybody scores it differently. I know Mud will talk about it a little bit on TV, but it's usually on kind of weird things that have happened. But the guy wants to be here. He's trying his best. He's putting in the effort. And I'm not being fake positive. I mean, I think a lot of people forget what he has done so far in a Padres uniform. They just look at the negative because they see the $25 million. And here's the deal. It's easy to have have hindsight and just be like, well, if we didn't do this, we could have had money for this guy. I mean, you don't know. You could have invested in another Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea wasn't very good in a Padres uniform. Then he went out there and admitted that he didn't really try that hard. You're not going to hit on every free agent that you pick up. It's better to try to keep these guys in the organization. That's why the Jackson Merrill sign is great. That's why the Fernando Tatis Jr. sign is great. That's why you can't let DeVries go or Salas go. Especially can't let him go to try to offset one of your mistakes maybe in the past of giving a 30-year-old aging shortstop too much money. So, again, I mean, the guy hit 300 when he came back from injury. He looked really good at the beginning of last season before he got hit in the wrist and then went into the tank, then got hurt against Atlanta, came back, hit 300. And had all his normal numbers that he had in Boston. His first year here had a lot of good numbers again across the board. Hit 275, 280. I think he hit 285 that year with a 4.4 ERA or 4.4 WAR. So it's not like he's been awful the whole time. There's been players here that have been awful the whole time. He's not one of them. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We got to get to the catching situation for the Padres. We'll get to our sports thread when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The gates are open here at Petco Park. People starting to pour into the loft up here at the third deck. If you haven't come by yet, come by and say hi. Nate Taylor from the chat came over and introduced himself. Nate, good to meet you. Coming over and coming to the game. Rod, our biggest fan, will be here at some point in time. So we really appreciate you guys listening to us all the time. Again, if you haven't done so already, follow us on social media at @B_SURP, @BSURP. You can also follow us on 97.3 The Fan, 97.3 The Fan SD on X and on Instagram. Again, you can follow me on all social media accounts at @B_SURP. Talking about Padres baseball, they get ready for a game today against the San Francisco Giants. Michael King on the hill for the San Diego Padres. Number one guy trying to get a 2-game sweep over the San Francisco Giants for an off day tomorrow and a trip to Pittsburgh. Team will be leaving today after the game, headed straight to the airport, flying to Pittsburgh. They'll have an off day waiting for the Pirates, as the Pirates will play a game tomorrow at PNC Park. And then after the 3-game series against Pittsburgh, the Padres will be in New York to take on the New York Yankees. They'll be in the Bronx to take on the Bronx Bombers, who have done a really good job of hitting the ball out of the ballpark yet again. So they have the nickname, the Bronx Bombers. They went back-to-back yesterday against the Orioles to start the game and hit 4 home runs in their first 5 batters yesterday at Camden Yards. So guys going to have some firepower. And again, we know they play in a bandbox out there in Yankee Stadium. So hopefully the Padres pitching can keep it in the yard. Should have Jackson Merrill back by Monday, which is good news for the Padres. Add another key member back into the order, which would be great. And so if you add Jackson Merrill, hopefully Jake Cronenworth mid-May. It sounds like Yu Darvish should be on the way back. Brandon Lockridge also get back to full strength before June 2nd. I think you're in a really good spot, especially with the way that the Padres schedule lays out in June. I mean, it's a lot of games against the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks, and those are the teams that you're going to have to compete for a playoff spot with. Want to join the show today? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Catching situation for the Padres has been interesting, to say the least. I mean, obviously, it's been one of the holes, and we've talked about it before. You know, I think with the injuries to the Padres and after getting a couple of guys back, I mean, during the stretch in which they had not been very good offensively, you can look at, well, they got players in spots that shouldn't be playing in the spots that they are currently playing in. And if anybody else had the same type of situation, they would be also hurting offensively and hurting in the win column. And I mentioned that, and somebody called in earlier in the week, like, well, with all the injuries, like, they don't really have that many, you know, when they're at full strength, they have many holes. They still have a hole at catcher, and they still have a hole in left field in reality. Now, Jason Hayward, not a bad outing yesterday for the Padres, but a catching situation, as mentioned before, for the Padres is specifically a position in which the Padres view as a defensive first position. And when you look at the Padres' current catcher on the big league roster and what they're doing, I mean, they're trying to flip the order over to the top of the order, and maybe that's a reason why a lot of the home runs for Fernando are just lead off, because your number 9 hitter is not, you know, or why some of his home runs are just solo home runs, batting in the leadoff spot because your 9 hitter's not getting on base a whole hell of a lot. But Elias Diaz, again, 0 WAR. He's about a replacement player, 192 average, 62 OPS plus, 569 OPS. He's got a double and a home run, 4 RBIs. Martin Maldonado's got a negative WAR, 209 average, 41 OPS plus. I mean, again, not a lot of production down there in the number 9 spot in the order, but also at the same time, just not a lot of offensive production out of the catching position. Now, at the beginning of the season, in the report from Kevin Acee about, you know, roster construction and how they're going to fill out the 26-man roster, they said that they could stomach Martin Maldonado hitting 200. Well, he's hitting 209, so you're getting exactly what they were expecting out of Martin Maldonado. I think a lot of fans would like to see the catching position get a little bit more offensive. And then you look at the numbers that Luis Camposano has been putting up in minor league baseball down in AAA, and people are asking the question, like, why isn't Luis Camposano up when the catching situation at the big league level is not producing a lot of good numbers. And Luis Camposano's got 5 home runs, hitting .317 and a .999 OPS down in El Paso. Now, I think you got to take those numbers with a grain of salt to a certain extent. But that being said, I think you have to go back to what the Padres viewed as the catching position. And Mike Schilt kind of reiterated that yesterday when asked about the catching situation for the San Diego Padres when he met with the media before the game yesterday.
I come from a school where, the catching position's critical to your staff. It's the most important position on the field that's going to also affect their teammates and 13 other players, their pitching staff. Diaz and Maldi have both done a tremendous job with our staff, starters, relievers, the whole shooting match. As far as the offensive things, Diaz hit a 2-run homer to help us win a game over in Detroit. Maldi's got some big hits. Diaz has got some big hits. And I think they have contributed offensively. But I'm not saying it's gravy because I think those both guys are capable and have done things to help us offensively. But ultimately, what they're doing behind the plate, I don't know how many, if you've studied it, which I have, there's always outliers, but you don't see too many pitching staffs with mediocre catching. You see pitching staffs with really, really high IQ, defensive skilled catchers that help shepherd and bring 13 guys up to their fullest potential, and we have 2 guys that are doing that.
Here's the deal with the catching situation for the Padres. Again, it's a defensive first position, and when you look at the catchers for San Diego, 38-year-old Martin Maldonado, 34-year-old Elias Diaz. Again, if they can hit about 200 and just try to work at bats and try to flip the lineup to the top to Fernando, they're relatively they're doing their job. That's what their job is on the San Diego Padres. Here's the other thing. They are a placeholder for the unicorn that is Ethan Salas. Now, Ethan Salas just got placed on the injured list down in the minor leagues. He left the game with back spasms after he had an at bat. He was eventually pinch ran for in one of the games, and then he got placed on the injured list. He's going to go over to Arizona to get some rehab work in at extended spring training, and hopefully we have some better updates on Ethan Salas later on. But right now, that's your guy that's going to be able to catch defensively and be able to hit. There's not a lot of those guys out there in Major League Baseball. Start looking at teams in baseball that are contenders. They have those catching unicorns that not a lot of players have, not a lot of teams have. It's a tough position to play. I mean, you're working with pitching staffs all day long, and then you got to find time to go out there and work on your at-bats. You look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, they got a unicorn in Will Smith, who's hitting .316 as a catcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, Baltimore's got one in Adley Rutschman, but Adley Rutschman's off to a slow start. It's a hard position to play in Major League Baseball. And right now, the Orioles aren't doing really well. Adley Rutschman's hitting .208 as a catcher. He's supposed to be one of the better catchers in Major League Baseball. You look at the other ones out there that are these unicorns, if you will. And I always think about Kansas City Royals' Salvador Perez. And Salvador Perez is not even catching all the time anymore. But even Salvador Perez, age 35, is hitting .225. I mean, the catching position is usually not a lot of offensive production. They're there defensively. They're there to help mold the pitchers and call a good game. And you know what? Say what you want about Martin Maldonado and Elias Diaz, and you can watch on TV and it might not look like they're doing the best defensively, but all we hear is positive things from the pitching staff, like guys like Jeremiah Estrada, who has already mentioned how he likes throwing to both Elias Diaz and to Martin Maldonado, has mentioned that those 2 guys have done a really good job and gave him credit. I mean, he wasn't even asked about it. He had to give a lot of his credit to the catchers and what a great job they've done with this pitching staff. So if they're part of the defense and pitching and the elite level pitching that the Padres have put together, then yeah, you got to let them continue to do their thing. Now, from an offensive perspective, I think you would like to have Luis Camposano up in some capacity. Right now, with getting players back, I can see why that they're not doing that. But he's not a great defensive catcher. He hasn't been a great defensive catcher. He's always been an offensive first player. And for an offensive first catcher in an organization that views catching as a defensive first position, it's kind of a hard spot to be in. Again, look at his numbers in AAA. They're off the charts, but whose numbers in AAA aren't off the charts? The PCL league is a hitter's paradise, and we've seen that with a lot of players. Like Austin Hedges hit over 300 in the PCL. Guy could even hit a $185 in Major League Baseball. So when you look at the catching situation for the Padres, they're going to go with the more defensive side of things than anything else. Couple of tidbits out of Kevin Acey's daily newsletter from this morning, from last night's game. Luis Arraez finished 1 for 3 with the sac flies, now hitting .289 in the season. That includes a .351 mark since starting the season, 0 for 16. I mean, think about that. Arraez, the last 2 seasons, has gotten off to these rough starts. I think he started like 0 for 18 in Miami last year. And then this year, 0 for 16. And since starting the season, 0 for 16, he's in .351. It's going to take a little bit of work right now for Luis Arraez to win a batting title for the 4th consecutive season, as he's now done it 3 years in a row, all on different teams. But hitting .351 since it's 0 for 16 start, I think Arraez is still going to be able to do it. Think about how remarkable that is for a guy to start the season 0 for 16 and then go out and still win a batting title. I think he could do it. Manny Machado's 2 singles moving past Chase Headley and into 5th on the Padres all-time hits list, hitting 8 with 880 hits. We haven't talked too much about Manny Machado this year. I mean, even during his slump, again, you look at exit velo and you look at swing speed. Even during his slump where he's not getting the results, the process was pure for Manny Machado. He got a home run robbed from him on Sunday. He has hit some absolute líneas out there in the first couple of games of the season. Guys hitting the ball really hard. Results are going to turn around. You're going to see Manny swinging a really good bat when you need him to. And he always gets off to slow starts. I feel like I've cursed him with the amount of home runs he hit. Unless he hits 2 home runs today, he won't match his usual 4 home runs in the month of April. He hits 4 home runs in April every single year, even in slow years. I would consider this not as slow of a start for Manny Machado as we've seen in the past, but he's got to hit 2 home runs today. Keep up with his 4-game pace in April. Maybe he does that. That'd be kind of cool. If he hits 2 home runs today, I'm going to take credit for it. That would just be a remarkable thing. I don't see that happening, though. Gavin Sheets, who was chasing at a 44% rate over the previous 8 games, did not swing at any of the 6 pitches he saw outside the zone last night. That's a positive move for Gavin Sheets. His average is starting to plummet a little bit as he plays every day. He got off to a great start, obviously, but still giving you good at-bats. His first inning walk was part of the streak of 5 consecutive batters reaching safely. He also was hit by a pitch right before Bogaerts' homer to make it a 2-run homer instead of a solo shot to left field. Gavin Sheets putting together some productive outings for the Padres. With the return of Arraez and Hayward, both left-handed batters, last night was the first time in 8 games that the Padres had more than 3 left-handed hitters in the batting lineup, and the announced crowd of 47,435 was the second largest for a regular season game in Petco Park history. The only bigger regular season crowd was July 30th of last year against the Dodgers. That was also a Tuesday night game. Game today is at 1:10. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt will get started at 12:10 as we take you up to first pitch here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, and the home of the Padres, 97.3 The Fan, the Padres radio network. But before we pass it on to Sam, let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, I'm at the Loft on the Western Metal Supply Company building, 3rd deck of that here at Petco Park. People starting to file in for Padres baseball on a Wednesday afternoon. Adam Klug in studio, but we'll be hustling over to the ballpark as soon as the show is over. Joins us for today's Sports Thread.
Number 1.
Excited to come make it down to the ballpark today, catch a matinee, Braden.
Yeah, little baseball matinee on a Wednesday, huh?
Jacob deGrom earned his first victory in 2 years last night, needing just 65 pitches to strike out 7 A's over 6 shutout innings. Is Jacob deGrom back?
I think Jacob deGrom is one of the best pitchers of this generation. He might be the best pitcher of this generation, but his biggest problem is he's always been hurt. He's always been injured. He's always had like long spells of being great. I know I've had this debate before in the past about, he's got to get his wins up. There's no pitcher in the Hall of Fame that doesn't have at least 100 wins. Take wins and losses for what it's worth. I think he could be potentially back. I mean, I don't know how much more back he could possibly be, but the Texas Rangers invested a lot in Jacob deGrom, and they're hoping that he could be the pitcher that he was, or at least a shell of it in New York. I think Jacob deGrom might be back, and the Padres have to deal with the Rangers later on in the year.
Number 2.
Sticking with baseball, the Cincinnati Reds have won 5 in a row and 7 of their last 10. They trail the Cubs by just a game and a half with a record of 16-13. Our friends over at BetMGM had the Reds with a projected win total of 78.5 prior to the start of the season. Buy or sell the Reds making the playoffs in Terry Francona's first season on the bench?
That was a question that Frank asked on opening day. That was kind of like a big, bold prediction. And I said I could buy it because Terry Francona is a great manager, and he has won everywhere that he has been. Got some fiery guys like Nick Martinez on the Cincinnati Reds. They have put together a very sneaky team in Cincinnati. And again, I mean, you look at the division, I think the Cubs are really good, and I think the Cubs are going to win that division. But Reds might be able to rack up some wins playing against the rest of the National League Central. Now, that being said, they got a lot of tough competition to deal with in the National League West and the National League East. Just because I don't think they're better than any of the teams in the National League West, nor the Phillies or the Braves, I'm going to say they just missed the playoffs. But I think that's going to be a team that might be, here's SEC guy for you. They are the South Carolina of the National League. They're the Grim Reaper that's going to be wreaking havoc on the rest of the teams in competing for playoff spots. It's going to be South Carolina and the Cincinnati Reds.
Number 3.
The Shedeur Sanders prank call story just won't go away. The NFL issued discipline for the mishap this morning, fining the Falcons $250,000 and their defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for failing to prevent the disclosure of confidential information. Ulbrich apologized publicly to Shedeur and the organization at a press conference today. Does the punishment fit the crime?
I think it's enough. Yeah, fine is fine. How much the Falcons get fined? Like $200,000? $250, and Ulbrich got fined $100,000. I mean, I couldn't imagine, my son costing me $100,000 in a fine by a prank call. But I would be more disappointed in him doing such an act in the first place. I mean, that was a ridiculously mean thing to do. I think a lot of people that don't like Shedeur Sanders were kind of laughing at it, but at the same time, I mean, I just can't, I can't get behind it. But I don't think he deserves to lose his job. I don't think he should be suspended. I mean, he didn't make the call, even though it is his son. His son is in college. Is his son 18? Yeah, he's in college. I mean, he's an adult. He can control himself. So I guess they can't punish him, the NFL, because he doesn't work for them. But I would imagine $100,000 for leaking information, I think that's fine.
Number 4.
The Milwaukee Bucks season came to an unceremonious end last night as they blew a 7-point lead with 35 seconds to play against the Pacers and lost the series 4-1 in the first round. After the game, Tyrese Halliburton's father went onto the court and was jawing at Giannis Antetokounmpo, creating a situation that could have become ugly, but thankfully did not. Afterwards, Halliburton's father, John, took to Twitter to apologize, saying, quote, "I sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Pacers organization for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again." What, if anything, should the NBA do about this incident in terms of discipline?
I mean,
another family discipline matter here within pro sports.
Can the NBA do anything about it? I mean, I guess they could find Halliburton or something like that. To me, it's just like, this is how parents act at youth events now and how they act at like travel ball and everything like that. I mean, your kid is a professional athlete now. He is a grown-ass man that is a professional paid athlete. Just let him play basketball. Don't make it about you, and don't yell at one of his teammates if you get knocked out of it. It's a professional sport. You did your job. You got your kid to the highest level that not a lot of people can do. Shut your mouth, enjoy the game, and be done with it.
Number 5.
UNC was reportedly set to air on HBO's Hard Knocks before it became apparent that his girlfriend, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, I should say, Jordan Hudson, wanted to be heavily involved, according to a new report in The Athletic, causing the NFL and NFL Films to back out. Now, more reporting on Bill Belichick's relationship with his 24-year-old girlfriend and her role within the UNC football program are coming to light on the heels of his disastrous interview on CBS over the weekend. She not only shut down questioning about the origins of their relationship, but also reportedly stormed out during the interview, causing a 30-minute delay. TMZ Sports is reporting that some within UNC's football program are growing concerned that she could become a problem due to the distraction she's causing. Now, earlier today, Bill Belichick released a statement basically saying that he had agreed to do this interview and only talk about his book, not going into his personal life. What can UNC even do in this situation about their iconic head coach's girlfriend if they deem her to truly be a problem?
I don't know. Do they have any grounds to do anything? I mean, everything would have to be with Bill Belichick. He is your employee. The girlfriend / I guess publicist is not. She is not employed by the school. There's nothing that they really, I think, can do about it unless they want to have a conversation with Bill and be like, hey, look, man, we can't be doing this. I personally hope it's the biggest distraction in all of sports because their first game is against TCU on Labor Day. So the more distractions for UNC football during the summer, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But the whole, like, I'm on Belichick's side a little bit on the whole interview thing when it comes to, like, we're promoting a book. We want to answer questions about the book. I'll answer questions about football. I don't want to dive into my personal life. Like, I believe you have to honor that particular agreement and not pull the rug from underneath the person that you're interviewing. I mean, why burn a bridge there? So I'm on Belichick's side a little bit with the fact that he set everything up to be an interview about his book and about football, and everything went back to the personal life. I don't like the sneakiness of media like that. This is what the deal is. Make it happen. You know, maybe you could poke around a little bit behind the scenes, but I agree with Belichick on that particular deal. In terms of what North Carolina can do, I don't think they can do anything. There's nothing really that they can do when it doesn't involve one of their employees. You know, I guess limit who Bill Belichick can bring around the facility, but even then, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what you can do.
Featured a lot of what can be done about family members or personal relationships of people who are part of your team or organization.
Ultimately, the responsibility comes on the people that are at the center of this, even though they didn't do anything. You have to control, you know, your circle to an extent. Be like, look, this is our life. This is, if you're going to be part of my life, you have to be part of this situation, and you're going to have to behave a certain way, which, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear, but at the same time, it's for the betterment of your loved one or your friend in this particular situation. Because ultimately, you are the company that you keep. You are the company that you keep. I mean, there's a lot of people that like, they're really good people and they surround themselves with not great individuals. I mean, at the same time, it's like you are with that group. And I'm not saying, you know, this family and you know, the family issues or Bill Belichick's girlfriend is bad people, but you are the company you keep. So when you have your own brand and you have your own name and everything is about branding now and individual branding in professional sports, part of your brand are the people that you hang out with. I think I'm at like a lower scale than that. But again, like I have to understand that from my perspective of, being in the public eye of the people that I hang out with. And my friends know, like, hey, we can't be popping off in the YouTube chat, can't be like saying things out loud in public that, that you shouldn't be saying, like all this other stuff. Not to say my friends would do that, but they understand. I mean, there's other things involved here. My family understands that. And I'm at a way lower scale than these guys are making way more money and are way more, important to the grand scheme of things in athletics. It comes with the territory. And if they haven't had that conversation, then they probably should have that conversation with their friends and family. We're here at the Loft at the third deck of the Western Metal Supply Company building. Gates are open. If you're coming down to the ballpark, come on down early, get to the Loft, post up, get yourself a drink. I will be on for another couple of minutes or so, and we'll pass it along to Sam Levitt. Before we move any further, though, we got to pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here. Come for the sports talk, stay for the antics. Keep up with Gwynn and Chris weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Braden Surprenant on the Braden Surprenant Show, live from the Loft, third deck of the Western Metal Supply Company building, leading you up to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. He'll get you updated on everything that's going on for the San Diego Padres, as well as games that have gotten underway in Major League Baseball. Padres do have some injury news that Sam will get to, some positive news from guys like Jackson Merrill, Brandon Lockridge, Yu Darvish, to name a couple. Sounds like Jackson Merrill should be playing for the Padres next Monday against the New York Yankees. That's good news, Padres fans. I mean, you got two guys back in the lineup yesterday, and look how much better the offense was for the Padres. Hopefully they can build on that again today. We had the lineup at the beginning of our show. I'll go back to that right now. Starting lineup for the San Diego Padres: Fernando Tatis Jr. batting leadoff and playing right field. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado in the 3-hole will bat third. Gavin Sheets bats cleanup and is the designated hitter. Xander Bogaerts batting fifth at shortstop. Jose Iglesias at second base batting sixth. Tyler Wade in center field batting seventh. Jason Hayward in left field batting eighth. And Elias Diaz is catching and batting ninth for your San Diego Padres. Michael King on the hill for San Diego as he will try to complete a 2-game sweep against the San Francisco Giants. Talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit, but I do want to mention, saw it in the chat, Mike Ramirez puts in the chat, shout out to his sister Stephanie on her birthday today, huge Padres fan. So Stephanie, happy birthday to you. Hopefully the boys can bring home a victory on your birthday. Thanks again for tuning into the show, and thanks again for being a big Padres fan. We really appreciate it here on 97.3 The Fan. Again, Padres game coming up at 1:10. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 12:10. Michael King trying to put together an outing in which the Padres can complete the 2-game sweep over the San Francisco Giants. These are very important games for the Padres. Games against San Francisco, games against Arizona, games against LA. These are the teams that you're competing with for a playoff spot. And again, if the season ended today, which nobody likes hearing, but after 1 month of play, and a little bit more than that because they started in March, but after the month of April, the Padres right now, after that little skid they had, would have the 5 seed and would be playing the San Francisco Giants in a 3-game series in San Francisco, assuming they don't flip it right here today, and the winner would take on the #1 seed New York Mets. Your playoffs right now for the National League would be the Mets, the Dodgers as the #1 and 2 seeds. Cubs get the 3 seed, Giants would have the 4, Padres 5, and the Reds would be in the playoffs if the season started today. Cincinnati Reds, that means no Arizona Diamondbacks, no Atlanta Braves, no Milwaukee Brewers, no Philadelphia Phillies. Could you imagine? And it's only been 1 month. That's why you don't make insane statements after 1 month of play. Padres game coming up in just a matter of moments. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt comes up next. I'm Braden Surprenant signing off. We'll talk to you at the roundtable tomorrow on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.